Okay, I think this is live. Anyway, my name's Jay. Heidman, you already know who I am. I see you're the only one in chat. I was hoping more people would show up, but they're probably just waiting for the stream to actually go live before they connect. Anyway, what I'm going to be doing here is a live commentary on the run. I finally got the official timing from the SDA admins. They gave me a time of 9:27, which, comparing to where I started from, is a really good time. I know some of the verifiers did kind of hit me on some of the mistakes I had during the run, but considering the nature of the game itself, luckily they let it pass. For any future attempts, I'm definitely going to be going for under a 9:20, hopefully around a 9:15. Before I even start, I want to thank Heidman for just basically giving me the most advice out of anyone in terms of strategies that I could utilize in different stages, pointing out areas that I needed to work on. He definitely got me going with the run. Yeah, by the way, this is a completely untested format. I've never done this before. I have no scripts. I am just going, on the fly, shooting from the cuff, just throwing it out there. So, the first thing I wanted to do was show the run in its entirety, as it is right now, and then I'm going to go back, I'm going to do some slowdown, some pauses, and I'm going to go over the different sections of the game, some of the strategies I had to deal with, and in the problem areas, I want to break down what went wrong and what could possibly go better. So, I'm just going to start the run. I hope you guys enjoy it, whoever actually is watching, aside from Heidman, who's being very, very quiet in the chat. Oh, wait, Zallard just came in. I need to give him a minute to get acclimated. Hi, Zallard. Please tell me you're there. I can see you. Okay. Okay, Zal, you came in a little bit late, but basically I'm going to play the run, I'm going to break it down. Got it? Okay, here we go. I'm going to mute my mic really quick. Okay, so there's the basics of the run, start to finish. You will notice that I did have some problem areas. Wasn't 100% perfect, but let's back it up to the very beginning and break some of it down. So I'm going to mute the audio on this just to make it a little bit easier to talk. By the way, before I start, is there any questions? Anything to start off with? Or are we good to go? Okay, so let's start this over. Now, the reason I picked the Amazon woman is because of her magic. Flat out, she's got the best magic in the game, deals the most damage. Okay, now starting off, we have this little fight right here. These two down stabs are distance based. If I started those any sooner or any later, I'd chance missing the second guy, the one who's dead right now over here. I'd chance missing him with the down stab if I was any closer or any farther away. Now, the reason I start walking up to the top of the screen is because it forces the mace man up here at the top, this guy, to spawn in active. See, normally he would run into the center of the screen, but by forcing him in active, he follows my movements. This allows me to force him down so that I can get both guys in the same attack, kill him at the same time. Okay, the thief, take it out as normal. Now, this is another positioning trick. Now, normally, the task starts about here, about on this line, but if you notice, my feet are down lower. This is because this is where the Amazon is going to land with the chicken, and I need to guarantee that I'm going to get the back attack. Now, the task, because it starts much higher and hits her earlier, is able to set up a down stab on the mace man. But to do so requires me to abuse a function of the game that is input buffering, where certain attacks will buffer your input. So, say I hit left and do a back attack. Well, after the back attack is done, I can hit left again and immediately start running if I hit it quick enough. I mean, it takes really good timing. It's something that you see me do on occasion throughout the run, but I haven't actually gotten the timing down so that I can abuse it in other areas of the game. So for me, right now, in this spot, I have to use 4 attacks, 4 back attacks actually, to take these two down. Where in the task, it uses 3 attacks. So if I was to redo this spot of the game, and I can get the task trick down, then I could save potentially about 4 seconds. Now, one of the verifiers nailed me for this, saying that I chased down these thieves, when actually, if you watch, this is the quickest way to take down the thieves. You catch the first one up top with a jump kick as close to the end of it as possible, and then it allows you to just drop down and take out the second thief without having to worry about him running around the screen, which is the same way the task does it, although the task does it, I'd say, about a second faster, but, you know, frame advance. Can't beat it all the time. Now, same thing with the down stabs here. These are all distance and timing based. If I'm any sooner or any later, I miss them. Basically, I catch the enemies as they're walking onto the screen where they can't dodge. They haven't hit their normal AI routines. They're just walking onto the screen. Okay, for the end boss, this took me a while to actually figure out, because I tried to copy the task, but the way the enemies react in this game is not random. There's absolutely nothing random in this game aside from the thieves and the bonus screens. All enemies follow set patterns. As long as you're in X spot doing X action, they will always do their own thing. Now, the way the task abuses it, by going in frame advance and using perfect positioning, they can what was the guy who did it? I think the guy's name's Mookie. The way he was able to set it up, he was able to manipulate down stabs because he was in the perfect position at every time. With me, because I can't deal with that, I had to come up with a fallback plan. So I knew that for this fight, I could hit a back attack on the first guy and the second one. I could set up a down stab and hit the giant because he's taunting, which it caught one of the other macemen as he's coming back on screen. Now, in every other spot of the game, mounting the animals is slower. But in this fight, it turned out to be faster because it made the giants more aggressive. This lets me take them out as quickly as possible with very minimal delay in them actually coming after me. Let's see, the bonus screens. These are the ones that I hated. Now, the jump kicks I'm doing here actually turned out to be faster because I get into the range quicker, but in this case, it actually screwed me over in the long run. Because, if you'll notice, I knocked the one thief off the screen. I tried to do a back attack and missed, and when I actually did hit him, the pot got knocked off the screen, out of my range, and I couldn't get it. This forces me to get an extra pot in the next stage to do the magic attacks I need. Now, the beginning of the stage is pretty much standard. As long as I'm standing where I am, those guys will always do the dashes and fly right off the map. Now, in my test runs, I would go as far down as possible along this line when I'd fight the next two guys, but I decided, like the TAS, to try on this line, and it's overall slightly faster. I mean, if I had to put a time to it, it's about maybe 1/3 to 1/2 second faster than normal. But here, I intentionally slowed myself down on this down stab. Notice how I caught him right as he landed. If I would have been as fast as the TAS, I would have caught him when he was mid-flight, about here, just as he's passing under me. But I made sure to delay myself to guarantee that he would actually run after me and do the suicide maneuver, which would basically get him killed. Now, the Dragon Rider that I have to take out here, the Amazon. I start that back attack right before the loading screen to guarantee that I get the hit. Now, if I jump from right here, from the saddle, I'm guaranteed one of two scenarios. And fortunately here, I got the slower scenario. Right here, I get both Amazons with the down stab, kills them both. Now that Mace Man, he's running like an idiot because he's trying to mount the dragon, which means he's going to ignore anything that I'm doing. He's going to avoid all dodge patterns. Everything that he does is just get on that dragon. So he's going to go in a straight line. He's never going to dodge. The faster strategy, if I time it right, which it goes pretty much the same way that one does, but I have to do it, I believe, a few frames faster, is the down stab catches one of the Amazons. The other one will continue to try and mount the dragon. I move down to about this line, right about here, and set up a down stab just underneath the dragon. If I do it right, the Mace Man will try to do a dash attack. He'll get killed, and then the Amazon, for some weird reason, will walk down into my down stab. I'm assuming it's because of the standard dodge patterns for the down stab itself. I've gotten it on fewer practice runs, but on anything that's a keeper, I've never been able to keep it, and I've never been able to get it. I don't know why. It's just one of those weird things. Now again, here I have to get at least three. I have to get all three pots from that guy, and luckily I was able to get him off screen with the back attack. Where I'm standing right here, I make sure my head is lined up with this little notch to guarantee that I get the back attack on these two. I then have to immediately start running and time it just right so that I catch them both as they get up. Now, there have been times in the past where that has not happened, where I would go for the back attack, and the Mace Man, who has a faster recovery than the Amazon, would get up and swing at me, or I'd time it too early and only catch him. Luckily, in this one, I got all the backstabs as I needed them. Oh, excuse me. Now, if you notice, I keep myself to level 4 magic because that is the bare minimum that I need to kill the next 3 spawning enemies as they come into the screen. Now, there is a way to catch them with the magic attack before the dragon shows its head in the lower corner over here, but I intentionally waited until I saw it before I hit it because there's been too many times where I've been aggressive and screwed it up. And again, the thieves are completely random. I have no control over their movements or how they spawn. It's just, I have to roll with whatever they give me. Okay, beginning of stage 3 seems like I completely screw up, but luckily it wasn't so bad. The first guy I killed right up there in the Mace Man. He's guaranteed to fall into the pit over here on the very side of the screen. every time as long as I hit him that way. From there, it's guaranteed that as long as I stand right here, the dragon lady will always do a dash attack. I can set up a down stab on her and knock her off. This guy will then try to mount the dragon, who gets hit with a down stab. Now I'm trying to be very careful with my positioning here, and here's where I screw up. I didn't move over far enough. I was maybe 1 or 2 pixels off. What I'm supposed to do is land on the ledge right here. Instead, I landed on the dragon. The reason I don't continue to hold forward is because A, I'll fly over the Amazon's head and land here and miss the attack completely, and B, for some reason this one Amazon is the only one in the game that will still dodge my down stabs if I get aggressive with them. So if I went, balls to the wall right after her, she would have dodged. I don't know why, but this is the only one that's done it. So because of that, I kill her, but I landed on the dragon and have to kill myself, or I waste well over a minute on the stage. Now you'll notice a little delay there. 2 reasons. 1, input buffering. Because I fell into the pit, the game still buffers that forward movement. So if I hit forward the second I spawned, I would have started running. Or I wouldn't have. It's very random in that spot when it happens. I'm not sure, again, what controls it, but there have been times where I've died 3 times there simply because I tried to move forward, and instead I decided to run and go right into the pit. The other reason for the delay was my controller just didn't feel like working. After I got past the input buffer, you have to wait, I think, maybe a quarter to half a second. I tried to move forward, and it just wasn't working. Okay, now the thief there, I make sure to set him up so that I can just knock him into the pit, because I don't need all of his magic pots. Set up the down stab, and then right there, that jump really pisses me off. It does 2 things. 1, it delays me actually hitting the backstab on this Amazon. It allows me to kill the first one, but if you notice, look at that. She's running into the screen. I have almost never had that happen. Apparently, where I knocked her back was far enough that she was in run distance, where any enemies will only run at you if they're a certain distance away and or they're off the screen. Now, most of the time, she does not do that, but in this case, she ran at me, which allowed her, with her quick attacks, to hit me before my back attack could register. Wastes enough seconds to piss me off. Now, this is the biggest trick in the game, which is a run killer if I don't get it. I had to set up the run before the game loads. I then had to hit jump just before the load ends. I have to make sure that giant, right there, he has to attack me. If he does not attack, I'm going to miss this. Now that I have it set up, I have to set up the down stab and catch him, and then let me just move it a few frames. And then the other one gets hit just as the game loads him. So I catch both of them with the first down stab. And that's just the setup. The rest of the trick, I then have to time these so that I catch both of them as they're getting up. And the last one I've screwed up because they're at the very edge of the screen. I don't have much actual distance to hit them with. I have to catch them very, very precisely. Otherwise, the second giant can actually pull into his standard swing animation, and it has a rear back which pulls his hitbox away from me. And there have been times where I've had runs killed. Yeah, that fight was fucking awesome to see it in real time. When you watch it in frame advance, you see just how close it was for me missing. I literally ripped that directly from the TAS, watched how he did it, and then it took me so many tries just to get the timing down just for the setup. And then I found out problems with timing the down stabs for number 2 and 3, just because if I start them too late, they have a chance to attack me because, like I said, the rear back animation on their swing pulls their hitbox away for 1 frame, just enough for them to get their hammer down and hit me in the face, which is instant run killer. And normally for me that would always happen in the last one. I had to time it very specifically. Okay, now this doesn't look like a mistake, but it really is. I catch both of them with the first swing. Now the jump attack, I'm only hitting them 1 at a time because I am, I think, 2 pixels too low. If I was maybe 1 or 2 pixels high and basically directly in the center of them, the jump attack would have hit both of them at the same exact time, which would have saved, I think, I don't know, maybe a second, maybe 2. And then I need every single one of these pots. So I have to waste time and get all of them. Luckily for me, I have to wait for the screen to start scrolling anyway, so I don't lose any time. But just the game waits for the thieves to get out of the screen before it starts scrolling anyway, so for me, that's still a time loss. Okay, these next few guys, wait till I'm right, specifically positioned just underneath this brick set, start the back attack, and I catch the first 2 guys. Now I can run forward, catch them as they get up. Now, I delay hitting this guy intentionally because I need to be at this door when I kill him. The jump was a mistake. Basically, you need to hit jump and attack at the same time, and every once in a while I'll hit jump before I hit attack, and it causes that stupid little jump. Take him out, and then I set up the down stab so that as soon as he comes out, he gets hit with it. He cannot dodge it. And his stand-up animation is slow enough where I have plenty of time to set up the next one, and he still can't dodge it. The dragon attack is to guarantee that they will die. Now, I can technically use level 5 magic, which is 1 pot less, but I prefer to get 6 pots just for insurance. Now, this is the worst bonus stage. I have 4 thieves whose all their patterns are completely random. I have no idea where they're going to go. So it's just swing and hope for the best. Catch one of them. Now, see that whiff? Notice how far away from this thief I am. You'll see this numerous times during the run. And while it looks ugly, it is not me completely screwing up. Basically, there's a distance you have to be from the thieves to do the stab animation. And I believe in this instance I am 2 pixels too far away. I am so close to hitting it, I can taste it. That's why you keep seeing me do this stupid swing throughout the run, because I believe I'm in stabbing distance, but the game says, sorry, you're not. So I miss him with that. Luckily, I catch both of them with 1 kick, and then the other guy. Now, the one mistake in this bonus stage is I grabbed a pot. I did not want that pot, because I do not need magic for the next stage at all. This wastes time in the next bonus stage. I do it basically the same way Mookie did in the TAS. I do not want magic in the stage. Now, to start things off, I have to run until I'm standing right there. I have to wait for the screen to scroll. If I do my down stab any earlier, then when I see this guy start to run in, this entire fight will lose about 10 seconds. Easy. Because they will not do what I want. What I want is this guy to run in, get caught with the down stab. That guy will do a dash attack. I can catch both of those guys with the back attack. I wait for him to come into range, and then I just spam the shit out of the back attacks. Catch them all as they're getting up, and that fight's already done. This skeleton is easy, but if you notice, I moved down really, really far. Technically, I only need to be on this line up here to knock him down, but I moved down a little bit farther to this line just to guarantee that when I do hit him, he actually goes in the pit. Now, there have been times where I've hit the skeleton, like so, and instead of falling, apparently there's a bug with this very specific spot in the game. I don't know if it can be done anywhere else, but this is a good spot for it. You could knock the skeleton down off the screen, and rather than him falling into a pit, he will loop through the background, and he will come from the ceiling and land on the ground. It is the weirdest thing in the world, but I've had the skeleton walk off the bridge just trying to get him to commit suicide, and he's literally fallen down and then looped back and come back from the sky and landed in front of me and taken me out. It's a weird glitch. So that position is very specific for this run. Okay, this skeleton, again, this one's very standard. That's the strategy I want to use. I want to use both back attacks. But with this next guy, I fucked up and jumped. As soon as I jumped, I knew time to go to plan B. That's hit him with a jump attack and then set up a down stab. Because the skeletons, their stand-up animation takes a long time, and they have a very long recovery on the stand-up. Which means any dash attack or down stab I set up is going to hit as long as I time it right. And with this one, I timed it right. I hit him right as he got up. I do not want these pots from this guy again, so I move out of the way, and I set myself up on a very specific line. This crack right here, that's what I'm lining up for. Now the plan is to catch the mace man right there underneath me, and the bat boy, who's just spawning. But I don't know why I didn't hit the guy. I may have done it a few frames too soon, or I may have been 1 pixel too high or too low, but for some reason that the mace man got hit. The bat boy didn't. And then the bat boy, he gets stuck in an infinite loop. Notice how he keeps swinging over and over and over again. Now I'm thinking he's going to come into position. No, he doesn't. So I have to waste time, reposition myself, and make sure that I can hit these back attacks. Now, one of the verifiers said that this fight was slow, but the problem doesn't necessarily come from execution. It comes from the enemy's surround behavior. And here's how this works. You have 2 enemies that always try to attack. One from the left, one from the right. Usually, whichever one is closer will simply gravitate immediately towards whatever side he's on when he becomes active. So if he's on your left side, he's going to immediately zone in on that left side. If he's on the right side, he's going to immediately zone in on the right. Now, the next closest guy will gravitate towards the other side. So if you have 2 enemies that are on your left, whichever one is closer is going to attack you from the left. The other guy is going to move around to your right side. He's going to keep a very specific z-axis distance above you, and he will move in a straight line. And if you try to engage the other one who's going for your right side, he will keep increasing his z-axis away from you as fast as he can move. So the quickest way to do it is to go for whichever one is trying to engage immediately. Now the other problem is when you have more than 2 guys, say you have 3, the third person will go into a neutral status, which means he will keep a very specific z-axis above or below you, usually above, and if you try to engage, he'll try to run away while the other 2 try for the surround pattern. So in this fight, I had to constantly reposition where I was standing to force them to come into that surround position and come into range. I could have chased them around constantly, and they would have just kept running away unless I repositioned myself as I did in this fight. And while it looks slow, it is literally the quickest I've ever done this fight. I think I saved about 5 seconds over my top split on this fight alone because I got hit very minimal. Most of the time, the enemies, they played nicely. They did what I wanted them to do. Now, this is the last fight, and this is the most annoying. It's a 2-parter. Now, I set up a down stab on that guy, which I know I'll catch every time, as long as I'm positioned right. Now, right there, this is where I get the first bad luck. Look how close I am to that skeleton. Because of the way the back attack works, it shifts your hitbox backwards. Doesn't matter if you're going to be walking over a pit, you'll still move the same way. I had thought that I was in good distance. I don't think I can back up the video, unfortunately, but I thought I was far enough away. Apparently I wasn't, because the skeleton was able to get me with the jump attack. Now I'm screwed. Most people, they get stuck in a position like this, the skeleton immediately kills them. The only option for me to do right now, jump attack. It's the only thing that can get me out of this bind. Now that I've knocked him down, I know I can set up a down stab and kill him with ease. Now there's a very specific reason that I go for a down stab on this attack rather than going for a standard back attack. As soon as I land, I want to be moving. I need to get myself in position right here to take out the next spawning enemy. That's why I went for the down stab. Even though the setup seems slower, overall it's quicker because it lets me get in position. Bam! I can immediately hit him as soon as he spawns. Now these skeletons, as Heidman knows, are the most annoying guys in the game. Simply because they move super fast. Their base attack, their sword swing, is a 1-frame attack, which means the first frame that they swing, you're getting hit. There's no delay for it. It's just immediate hit. Now, notice how close I am to this skeleton. I hit him. I don't get it. Why did I hit him there but miss the other one? Again, I mean, if I had a Lua script for gens where I could see the different hitboxes for enemies, I'd understand it more. But for me right now, when I was playing this, I didn't know that. I kind of had to learn a lot of this stuff just as I played. Now, I caught that shot from the Bat Boy just because of positioning. He got in position and I couldn't move. So I had to reposition again, and there I did a back attack because I thought the Bat Boy was going to come into position, but no, they chose the skeleton to be the primary guy for my left side, and the other guy decided to go for the right. So I'm like, okay, now I got to reposition again, hit the skeleton, and then hit him. Fight done. And this is where getting that pot wastes time, because I have to hit him. There's 3 pots. Now I got to hit him for the 4th pot, grab them all, and then get the other thief. Luckily, I got really good patterns with them, so with the good spawns and their positioning and behavior, I didn't have to chase them around, which didn't waste any time. I would ask for a hitbox script, but right now I already know pretty much what I need to do to improve the run, and it would take a lot more work just to set up the Lua script properly and then play through the game to figure things out, because I'd have to play through it, and basically I'd have to do like a rough playthrough, record it, and then watch it in frame advance to really see everything. So I mean, it could help, but right now I already know just execution wise what I have to do, not necessarily game mechanics wise. Let's see. Okay, the next stage. This one was fun for a few reasons. The beginning starts off great. Here's a slow-mo of this trick. Even though I'm in the air, the game can still considers me to be on solid ground. So I'm still running. I'm still considered on solid ground. All I have to do is hit jump, and the game lets me jump right out of a pit, and then I just let them all commit suicide. First guy tries to dodge a down stab that's never going to hit him by moving down and kills him, and the others just walk off to their death. Now, this positioning I have after that is very critical. I have to stand right there. The down stab, I start going in the other direction to keep her moving forward, and then I turn around so she tries to dodge and goes right in the pit. Now, this fight right here did not go according to plan. Basically, I was trying to bait both of them into doing what the Mace Man did, and I was trying to get them into position, but I did the down stab too late. So if you notice, I completely whiffed it. I knocked him off, and then got caught by the Bat Boy because I had no room to dodge. My only option? That is a task trick. What you have to do is on the frame you hit somebody, you have to turn around. You have maybe a 2-frame window to hit that. Not the easiest trick. It took me a while just to get the hang of it, which is why every time you see me do it, I'm always coming down from a jump, because I basically had to mentally prepare myself for it. I can't just jump and immediately execute it. I just haven't gotten the timing for it. Next set of guys. One goes down. I'm trying to bait. Basically, the reason I kept doing those jumps is because in past attempts, I was able to bait them into doing dash attacks against me, which means I can immediately set up a down stab on them as soon as they pass underneath me, because when they land, they have a few frames where they cannot dodge. In that case right there, because my positioning was off and my timing was slightly slow, they were able to dodge. And right there, I missed the reverse jump attack. So I had to go to plan B, which is spam back attacks. Quickest way to kill them. Now, this is one of the biggest eyesores for me because of how slow it is. I mean, just look how long I'm not doing anything. These guys are literally just walking across the screen. Now, there's a very, very specific reason for this. One, their spacing. They are spaced very far apart. In order for me to bring them close enough to use a faster strategy, I have to walk this very thin line right here, this line of rocks. Now, that is the border between the bridge on the opposite, on the area outside of the map and the pit. So if I walk the line on here, I have a very good chance of not knocking them into the pit. One glitch with the game is the knights cannot walk to their death. They will walk on a pit like it's solid ground. They have to be knocked into it. So the only way to guarantee that I'm going to knock them into the pit is to keep them underneath this line of rocks. The quickest way that I found to do that consistently, it's not the fastest, but it's the fastest consistent method, is to wait until they get roughly about here, jump, dash, and then just spam these dash attacks. Now the reason this works is the knights have very annoying AI. One, they walk slow. Two, after stage 3, they always come in pairs. You have one that always goes for your right side, one that always goes for your left side. When they spawn with an AI pattern that calls for an attack first. Now, let's say you get in range and a knight attacks. He goes into cooldown mode. He will not attack you until a few conditions are one of a few conditions are met. The first is you take a shot from the other knight. You knock that knight down, which resets him and puts him back into attack mode, or you let his attack cooldown expire. So after a certain amount of time, he will eventually just get frustrated and bash you over the head. Now, anytime you knock one of the knights down, he becomes inactive, and the other person comes into attack mode, which means he tries to get into the closest position, left or right, to attack you. But as soon as the other knight gets up, he goes back into surround mode and tries to leave. So the reason this strategy works is because I knock the first knight down. That causes the second knight, the one who spawned up top, to go into attack mode. He then tries to walk down into position to attack. As soon as the first knight that I knock down gets up, I knock him down again. This keeps the other knight constantly in an attack mode and pulling him into position, which allows me to simply chain the dash attacks over and over and over again. And right now what I'm trying to do is knock them into an off-screen pit. Now the first guy I knocked down, he went over. The second guy, you notice, he got up. Now the reason I ran away from the edge of the screen is because their sword swing is so long that he can hit me from out of the screen well outside of where my hitbox can touch him. So I have to let him come partially into the screen before I can knock him over into the pit. And that takes care of that stage. Now with this one, I need almost all of these pots. I catch both of those guys, and then I fuck up that dash attack. I knock that pot off, almost all the way off the screen, and luckily I had enough pots. But if you notice, I missed only one pot, and I still was barely able to get enough pots to cast Dragon Magic, which I need for the Death Adder fight. Now for this fight, the basics is to spam the back attacks against these two guys. Knock them down. Just get them out of the fight immediately. And then I need 6 back attacks against this giant. Now I was thinking of trying to do a strategy where I bait the giant into down stabs, but his recovery time is fast enough where I can't just chain them back and forth. Plus, because he can get knocked off the screen, he gets knocked out of range, and he can attack me from well outside the screen before I can even hit him. So this was the most reliable method to kill him. Now, Death Adder is spawning. First thing I do, this skeleton has to get knocked down. If he does not get knocked down, Death Adder will stay in an avoid pattern, and he'll stay on these stairs out of my range, where even if I'm standing next to him, I cannot attack him. He can hit me, but I cannot hit him. So I have to knock down that skeleton. Then I set up the Dragon Magic. Kills both skeletons instantly. They're out of the fight. All 3 of these guys have to die. Now once Death Adder is down, it's a down stab festival. He cannot get knocked off the screen, so he just gets trapped in the corner, and his get up animation is so long that I can just spam the down attacks consistently. As long as I have Dragon Magic and I set it up properly, that fight will always go the same. Yay, I saved the king and the princess, blah blah blah. I don't care about talking to you guys. Let's go on to the next stage. This is the most fun and slightly the most frustrating. To start off, these first 2 enemies. Normally, they run onto the screen. But notice where I'm standing right now and what I'm doing. I'm walking towards them, and I'm passing this rock. I don't know exactly how this works, but I saw it in the test, I tried it a few times, and every once in a while I get it to work. They both spawn running into the screen. This is something that I hoped for but hadn't necessarily planned for. So when I saw them running in, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get them to follow me into the pit, so I started dash attack, and I did it too early. Notice the mace man. He's just committing suicide and knocking me down in the process. Because he knocks me down, that guy, the bat boy, stands still until I get up. Then he commits suicide. The plan now is to wait a little bit longer and delay the jump across the pit as long as I can, simply to get them just to run right into the pit, which would save, right now it looks to be about 3 seconds. Next guy, skeleton. I need to reverse jump attack him. If I fail that, it just delays the fight. The next two guys, as long as I'm standing here, when they spawn, they immediately commit suicide. The Amazon. The plan is to have her do a dash jump, but the problem was I was too low on the screen and I was not far enough away. Where I need to be standing is right about here when she spawns. This way she will immediately go for a dash attack and kill herself. So I had to improvise. Knock him off, knock her off, knock him off. The next few guys simply walk to their deaths as soon as they spawn because of where I'm walking. The down stab I set up from right here because this guy is running. I know where he's going to land. So I get the down stab to land as close as possible to these two guys so that they both immediately try to avoid it and go into the pit. Skeleton, I'm hoping for the same thing, but he takes his time walking over, which takes 2 attempts to knock him down. Now with these thieves, notice my distance with this guy. That is the stab animation that I'm going for consistently, but like I said, the distance is very strange. I mean, I could be farther away than normal and I will still hit it, and other times I'll be super close and I won't get it. It's very weird. So anyway, these two thieves always drop 3 pots. 3 from him, 3 from him. Now, the upper guy is not usually a problem. This guy is, because he has a tendency to run off the screen and waste so much time. Again, because I can't control where they're going, I can't manipulate it in any way. I have to just hope that he stays on the screen. So, I catch him with 1 shot. I catch him with 2 shots. That's cool. Now I gotta wait for him to come back on the screen, catch him, grab the pot because I do need it. The next 2 guys, these 2 guys only have 2. I got so fucking lucky with this spawn. I don't care what anyone says about me having to chase these guys around. Just the fact that this douchebag came up top to this little platform rather than running off the screen and staying down here saves me so much time. I've literally lost a minute flat because of these 2 guys. This one, the worst thing he'll do is he'll run down here where I cannot get to him, period. I can't even walk over there. This guy will have a tendency to run in random spots over here, always outside of my range. Like if I go down, he'll go up. I go up, he goes down. So to catch them both right here is just luck and a half. Catch them both with the first jump attack. And then this guy, notice, I'm swinging because I think I'm in range to do the stab. But I'm not. Which is weird because I was just in range before. And right there, again, I do another one. And how did I whiff that? So that looks really fucking ugly. And now, of course, I get the stab. On the third one, when I seem to be out of range, I get the stab. I hate this game sometimes. Okay, so now that I have all the magic pots I need, reverse jump attack the skeleton. Now I have time to play here, although I try not to waste too much. Knock him off the edge. This was lucky. If you notice, his swing beat mine, but for some reason, I was out of range. I don't know how, but my attack beat his, so I was able to stun him and then just knock him off the edge. Now, like I said, I had time to play. I have to wait for this guy to become active, and then this guy. They wait a certain amount of time. I don't know how long it is, so I kill the skeletons as quickly as possible, and then move myself into attacking position. Wait for him to become active. Jump attack. Knock him as far away as possible. Do an early jump attack before this guy becomes active, because I need to manipulate him to jump to his death, which you will see happen very shortly. I was literally about 3 frames away from this guy doing a jump attack and landing about here and screwing the whole plan up. So as soon as he comes back into position to do a dash attack, walk down, he kills himself, the other guy tries to come after me. Now, the knights. I will agree with, I believe, the second verifier that this is a very ugly fight, but it is not as ugly as I have encountered in this run while working on this game. Now, what I tried to do is, because I was so far ahead of time, I thought I need to go experimental. I need to really push myself to knock the time down. Now, you could say that, yeah, I failed, but I'm going to stick with my guns and say that the time that I lost here by screwing up is about the same amount of time I would have lost if I stuck with a safe strat and waited for them to walk all the way over here. It's about the same amount of time. Although, in the end, yes, it does cost me some time in the Deathbringer fight. So, Verifier 2 definitely gets some kudos for that. I mean, overall it is a mistake, but it's not as bad as he thought. I'm assuming that's Heidman, but considering he's been pretty quiet, I really can't. I can't say whether or not that was him. So, the strategy here is take an attack the first knight. Now, their positioning is really close, so if I get this reverse jump attack, I knock them both into perfect position, but I missed. I don't know how I missed. Apparently, he decided to walk away when normally he wouldn't. So now I have to go for the just jump attacks. Right here, bam, he catches me right at the edge of my hitbox, screws me up. Luckily, I'm still within range to take that knight out. He misses me with the shield bash, but I still get him with the jump attack. So now I just have to do them one at a time. Okay, now he's out of the way. This guy, I tried another reverse jump attack. Missed it by one fucking frame. That pisses me off. So now I got to do more jump attack spamming. And this is where I goofed up. Caught him once, and then I missed that literally by about a frame. Now the surround pattern here really annoys me with the knights because of how slow they move. Most enemies, they get in a position pretty quickly. These guys take fucking forever. So when I try, I'm like, okay, he's in position. Go! No! Just me tapping forward and moving 1 pixel was enough to make him try and dodge, go back into his surround pattern. Where what they do is, again, they keep a certain amount of distance between you as they get in position, and if you close in that gap, they increase their distance until they're ready to come into attack position. So, again, they're a few frames off, which really annoyed me. Run around him. There we go. Enough distance. Knocked him over. Now we're into the Deathbringer fight, and this is where that experimental strat overall kind of hurt me. Again, just like Death Adder, I got to take that first skeleton out, knock him down. Okay, magic time. Now it's the downstab festival that I'm hoping for. Now those skeletons can be killed, but they have twice the amount of health that Deathbringer does, so fighting them is useless, not even worth it. The only thing you can hope for is that they play nicely, and they act according to how I want them to, which means leave me alone and let me just finish the run. A lot of runs they've killed because they can get aggressive at a moment's notice. The only pattern I've ever had with them where they have completely agreed with everything I want to do is they would one on the left, one on the right, and because of the way I do the down stabs, they'd constantly be moving up and down with one dodging, the other coming into attack position. Let's say the one on the left coming to attack position while the guy on the right dodges. He'll move, left goes up, right goes down. I do another down stab, then left goes down, right goes up, and that's the only pattern I've ever gotten where they've not touched me. But they have to be really close for it, and that gets dangerous. So for right here, okay, got him down once, and now starts the down stab festival. I get a few in, and I know from their position they're going to do a dash attack. First one comes in, bam. I knocked him out of my way, but the other one is still in dash position. So he catches me with that. Yeah, they have like 255 health, something like that. So So I die there and lose some time. But because they're still in good position, I'm able to knock Deathbringer down, catch him with the 5th dash attack, and look at that. Look at how close I was to catching a hit there. He's literally overlapping, but for some reason he's got to be about a pixel too high, and he completely whiffs. So I set up the very last down stab, and here's where it gets interesting. I catch him on the last frame of my down stab, and the very first frame he could be hit. Next frame, there we go, I'm landing. That was the best luck period. And the skeleton still misses me. Right at the end, he still misses me. I do not know how that works, but apparently there it did. So the official timing goes until there, right as they disappear. It starts from when the first text box in the beginning of the game disappears and the UI reappears, and then it ends as soon as the skeletons disappear, which is the same frame he begins his death cry. So my overall time was a 9:27. That's a mouthful. So, any comments, questions, things you think I may have missed that I could have done better? I mean, what are your thoughts? Okay, on the surface seems pretty random to the average player, but you mentioned the entire game isn't random except night elves and certain attacks. About how much of the game is random to you when you're running the game? I'd say about 80% of the game was planned out, where I knew what was going to happen, and about 20% random. And it's not the kind of random that you're going to run into in a game like, say, Castlevania or Contra, where in those games you have a set plan, but the game will throw random elements at any given point in time. In Golden Axe, the only thing that will cause something to happen different is entirely based on where you're standing and what you are doing. As long as you do the same things every time and stand in the same place every time, you will get the same exact outcome. Now, it sounds easy in theory to run a game like this, but the problem is a lot of those actions you want require very specific actions and very specific timings. So if you don't time something properly, you will get a different output. It's just like, say, in stage 2, when I was talking about the, let's see if I can find the spot, the Amazon, right? In this scene right here. I mean, where I set up the backstab here, and then I wound up catching both Amazons with one down stab. I mean, with that one, if I had gone literally a few pixels earlier on the down stab, rather than from the direct center of the dragon's saddle, I would have gotten the faster setup where I caught one Amazon and then baited the other two into a down stab, which would save at least 3 seconds. That's literally the only type of randomness that I would ever get in a game like this. It's just, if you time things a few frames off, or you're a few pixels too high or too low, that's the only time something else will happen. Other than that, the game is 100% planned out. What's up, Speedy? I think you missed the party. I was kind of hoping you were going to show up a little earlier, but hey, that's no big deal. I'm pretty sure the video will be saved if you feel like checking it out. And yeah, I'll be back in a minute, guys. I got to use the bathroom. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Arkham Asylum runs, they're going to pick back up soon. I need kind of a slight break from running because I kind of was bashing my head against the wall when I was working on this run. Game was just slightly annoying, trying to figure out all the enemy patterns, especially the fact that I had the only two things I had to go by was one world record time on Twin Galaxies and the TAS. Those are the only things I had to go by. Other than that, I had to learn the game basically from scratch. If I went for an improvement, like I said earlier, I would definitely would not accept anything over a 920. 9:15 would be about where I'd shoot for. If I could get under 9 minutes, I would be friggin' amazed. I definitely need to get the faster strat on the Golden Knights in Stage 7. I need to get a flawless fight on Deathbringer. I can't have the execution mistakes that I had partway through Stage 4. And I definitely can't have the dragon fuck up from Stage 3. So if I can get rid of all of those problems, I could definitely get a 9:15. And if I could figure out a faster way to take out the knights on Stage 5, that would save even more time. But I really don't think that getting under 9 minutes is going to be possible in a real-time run of this, simply because of the amount of execution precision you need to get the downstabs that the TAS gets. I mean, if any of you guys have ever watched the TAS, it is just fucking crazy the amount of downstabs that the guy's able to manipulate, just because of the way the enemy patterns work. I mean, I've gotten some of those strats to work, like the reverse jump attack. I got the Stage 3 giant strat to work, but the Stage 5 dragon strategy I can't get to work, because just the setup of it is just insane. Just knowing exactly where the hitboxes are is just not something I can do. Hi, don't worry about it. The stream's actually being saved right now by Twitch, so you can check it out as soon as I'm done, and then you can watch the whole thing. Basically, what I did was I started with playing the run straight out, and then I broke down literally every section of the game. So you'll get to check it out in a minute. Basically, once I end it, it'll be up on Twitch. So anyway, I'm going to close the stream down so that henchmen can actually get a hold of the video. It'll probably take about 5 or so minutes to process, but I'm going to stay in the chat just in case you guys have any other questions.